good.
Yeah, is that okay, I think we can go. First off, I have to say, I love your poster behind your head.
I'm trying to raise my laptop so that you can see it. But then you can see
yes.
yourself, but never mind.
That's brilliant. And do you know what? That is exactly what I want to talk to you about today. All of this kind of stuff. Because,
right, how's that?
Right. So many different equestrians who are doing courses and writing books and trying to get their message out there. One of the things that they really struggle with is the media part of it and the distribution, the social media posts, and I've been watching you for the last however long it is, and I love your posts. You've got really good call to actions and people really engage with your posts, and it's interesting, and your bloody sheep are amazing. I just really want you to go and do obstacle courses. Do you know, like when you get those dogs, don't you? Agility, that's what it is. I really want you to enter a dog agility course with Merlin.
He would be good, although it's only if he can be bothered. Some days he just can't be bothered, so it might be embarrassing.
Well, we're all like that, aren't we?
True, yes.
Yeah. And they do say never work with children and animals. You can guarantee here, I'll say, oh, yes, I can do such and such with my horses. I can do such and such with my dogs. And then somebody comes and has a look. And they're like, yeah.
Yes, it's embarrassing.
So when I met you, I came across you on Facebook. And then I went and I had a look at your website, and you had your first few chapters that were coming out for The Yard, your first book. And then I said, can I interview you, please? And you sent me some more stuff, and we had a chat, and it was brilliant. And I absolutely adored that interview. And do you know, that's done really well on my blog as well. So thank you for
that. It was my favourite interview of all time.
Oh, thank you. I'm learning as I'm going, but what I'm wanting to do is to make sure that my interviews are not the same as everybody else's interviews.
They're certainly not the same. I can assure you of that.
So I suppose that brings me to one of your, my first questions is, your interviews, how did you go about getting them? And you seem to be a genius at this, so tell me everything.
So the first thing that you have to do in order to get interest from the various different media outlets is to have a really good, interesting pitch. They are usually interested in you as a person. They're not really interested that much in your product or your books, if it's books. That is the last thing on their agenda.
Really? That's interesting.
Yeah. And I learned this from, it was actually, I feel that I've been helped by the universe throughout all of this, because
I'm well into that.
I do believe it, because the right people have just appeared in my life randomly. So I used to be on Twitter. I'm not anymore, because it went a bit weird when it became X.
I never really mastered Twitter.
Well, it was a bit weird, I found. But what was fortunate was, randomly, a journalist from, I don't know if you remember Bella magazine. It's a big bestseller.
Yes.
So she spotted me on there, and we chat a lot now. She's a writer herself, and she gave me some wonderful coaching on how to write a letter for the press, what would get their interest. So you have to start with a good tagline. You've got 1 second to get, because if you think, these people are inundated a lot with loads and loads of requests all the time. So if your intro, if you ramble on, they are bored. They don't want to know.
Yes.
And they don't want you to start with, hi, I'm an author, or I've got this course. They're not interested. They want to know, what's your unique, bizarre experience? So for me, my tagline was,
Show the big sheep.
well, wasn't sheep at the time. I didn't have
No, I
them.
know. I know. I got overexcited. Sorry, carry on.
No sheep, but horses. So my tagline was, horses healed my postnatal depression, and now I heal terminally ill people with my therapy horses.
Of course,
So there you
yes.
are. Boom, right in the face. They know exactly who I am, what I'm doing.
And
And
you put that
then
in the subject line.
that was the first line that they would see when they opened the email.
Right, okay.
So in bold letters at the top of your email, exactly. And it has to be as succinct as possible. You've got 1 second. You've got to make it good. So that was my tagline. And then underneath, it's polite to find out who you're emailing. So if it's like, dear sir, madam, not as good as finding out the name of the person. So I would always find out who am I writing to? Who is this editor of this magazine? And then you aim your pitch at their magazine. So you need to know, who is this magazine? Who are their readers? Why would their readers be interested in me? So for horsey stuff, you include horses, but you need to think about their demographics. So always refer to like your readers because they're aged 40 plus, blah, blah, blah. Do you know what I mean? Put little things in that helps them to feel you're not just scattering it out to anybody.
Yeah.
And then tell them your story. So I basically said, my birth experience was hideous. I had an emergency cesarean. The anaesthetic wore off halfway through, so I could feel the pain of being sewn up. So that was why I had postnatal depression. I then went on to describe how I'd amazingly met these wonderful women in Wales who transformed my life with horse therapy. They are amazing women. And then at the end of your email pitch to them, you then say, oh, and by the way, I've got this course. Oh, or by the way, I've got this book. So for me, it was, I told them my life, my story, what I do with it now. And, oh, look, I've written a book, in case you want to include that as well. And because it was so well written, you see, also, I have to admit, many years ago when I was younger, late teens, I was quite a lost person. I was an apprentice to one of the top advertising agencies in London.
Oh, that's a handy experience.
I learned a whole range of how to advertise back in the 90s when there was no technology and you had to be a good advertiser.
Yes.
So I've got that in the back of my brain as well as this.
That's a very handy arrow to have in your toolkit, isn't it?
Oh, yes. Because you have to be able to connect. People want connection, even if they're not aware of it. We all do. And your pitch to try to get into the media is about first connecting with that editor. And secondly, that editor wants to sell their magazine or newspaper or whatever it is. And they sell by connecting with others. So you have to offer something interesting. Don't just bleat on about your book or your course, because that's only 5% of what they're going to be interested in.
Yes. So it's about you as the attractive character then.
Yeah, like, why did you write the book? Why are you writing this course? What is different about your book? What's different about your course? Why are you so interesting that I want to put you in my publication?
And I suppose then, once you've got one, there's a knock-on effect then, isn't there?
There is, because so I posted again on Twitter about a particular feature I'd had in a magazine, and other journalists spotted that, and then they contacted me and asked, can we put you in this newspaper? And then, oh, hi, I'm from the BBC and I'd like you on the radio. Oh, I heard you on the radio. Can I put you on the TV? And
yes,
then it snowballs.
And it did, and I watched you, and it was literally to start with, there was kind of one interview a month, and then it almost got to the point, as far as I'm concerned, as a viewer on Facebook, it was almost like every single day there was another one. You were either doing one that day, or you had one ready to be doing in a day or two's time. And then the Yorkshire Vet, it was amazing to watch, which is why I've got you on here, because I want to copy you. I want to hack what you're doing.
There are so many now that I don't post about them all now, because I can't. There's so many. But I have to say that even though there was a bit of a snowball effect, I do spend hours a day doing emails,
Yes, I can imagine.
promoting myself in different Facebook groups. So even though I look really serene, it is like the whole swan thing. Under the water, I'm working so hard, and I haven't had a day off since I started in lockdown. Not one day off.
Oh, wow. That's 3 years.
3 years with no day off. Not a day has gone past without doing something, at least one thing, even if it's just one pitch or one post. I'm never doing nothing.
And that is why you're succeeding, isn't it? You're just
if you don't put the effort in, you will not get anywhere. Simple as that.
No, it's okay.
There's a spiritual teacher called Amma. She's an amazing woman, and one of the things that she said is, it's the right effort and the right timing, and then grace comes and makes it all happen. So you have to work as hard as hell, and then the universe will help you.
I'm a big fan of manifesting.
Yes, we all have the ability.
To the point, this is my favourite short story. I remember once, because I used to cycle 60 kilometres a day, and one day I was cycling through the snow and my hands were absolutely frozen, and I managed to manifest a pair of blue thermal gloves 1 kilometre further down the road.
Wow, did you just find them?
Yeah, they were just on the side of the road. They were slightly damp, so I put them onto the handlebars, and then I carried on cycling, and then kind of the wind kind of got the majority of the wetness out, and then I had a pair of thermal gloves on my hands.
Amazing. There you are. And that is manifestation.
And I'm just gathering my thoughts here, because I'm a bit away with the fairies occasionally. I will edit all this out, obviously.
It's perfect menopausal stuff.
Yeah, well, it is. I must admit, because I've been running around like an idiot all morning, because I've got a cat. This won't go in the interview, by the way. I've got a cat who's got a bladder infection, and he's peeing everywhere, and he's just had some kind of broad spectrum antibiotics that haven't worked. So they've asked me to take a sample. So I've spent this morning walking around. Every time he kind of squats down, I've got a little pipette that I'm trying to put on his penis to catch his wee. And then I've had to then get on my motorbike and go miles away to get to the laboratory and everything, and then rush back and then go, sit down, do interview. So my brain's kind of...
Oh, I'm not surprised. What day? You couldn't make that up, could you?
So I noticed that you have done it as self-publishing.
Yes. So Brown Dog Books, it's just their little imprint. It's still the self-publishing partnership.
Right. So they're a printer.
Yeah. So it's just that cute little thing on the book, Brown Dog Books. So that's their bookshop. So it's the whole thing is self-published. It's just their imprint, a bit like Penguin have various different imprints of whatever, or Brown Dog Books is part of the self-publishing partnership. So the self-publishing partnership is a company who produce books in exactly the same way as it would be done if you had a contract with a publishing company. So it's all done correctly, but you pay for it and you're in charge of everything, which is brilliant.
Okay. And would that be print on demand?
Ooh, no.
So I am really intrigued by that reaction, because that was spectacular.
So my reaction of that is because I am a printer's daughter. in the world of printing and quality paper and quality inks and quality. So I chose the self-publishing partnership because they're very traditional. They work with a traditional printing company. The books are made really, really well. The paper, you can feel the quality of the paper.
So this is the copy of the book that I've got at home with the yard that you signed for me.
Or the farm. So
Or the farm. Yes.
Or
I
even
really should have got. Hold on a minute. You keep wiggling that. I've got to see where my copy is. I should have had this ready, shouldn't I? You mean this one? With, can you see it?
oh my God.
Right. Okay.
So
this,
having been brought up with hearing my dad chuntering on about quality, it's very ingrained in me. So, I mean, print on demand is better than it was originally. So if you're doing it with Amazon, I mean, Amazon
yeah,
is.
hold on. I have an example of an Amazon one here, and it's really bad quality. For example, hold on. The writing goes right up to the edge.
So it's not easy to get it formatted unless you're really skillful at formatting. Some of my books are available on KDP because the self-publishing partnership have formatted it all for me. So in certain countries because obviously I've published my stuff in England, so there's only certain countries where my books can be sold. So KDP is a bit better. The quality isn't as bad as it was. So long as you've got your formatting right and you choose the deluxe options, but they're good, but sometimes they're not bound very well. So like I've got some print on demand book, and you open it and it splits.
Yeah. And all the pages then fall out.
Yeah, worst case scenario, they've got the wrong cover for the book.
Oh God, as bad as that.
Yeah. Oh God, because I know a few authors that do print on demand, and so I'm in this authors group, and there's always somebody complaining about, oh my God, they put the wrong intro, or because Amazon, it's mainly run by computers, so there isn't somebody there to actually make sure mistakes don't happen. It's so massive that they can't have people. Whereas, fortunately, I mean, it's not cheap to do it the way I did it, but I was lucky because we had the money to do it.
I shall ask you that in a moment then.
It's expensive to do it the way I did it, but I'm glad that I was able to, because I wanted to create a product that is, because I think with a book,
and I think this is a nice quality book that I've got here. You can't see, can you?
The joy of
holding
it and the feel of the pages.
Yes,
it's all part of it. It's part of that experience of reading, isn't it?
Definitely. It's like I like to go to bed and read, and you shouldn't read on a screen a couple of hours before going to bed. I'm an insomniac, so it's like if I'm looking at blue lights for hours before going to bed, then there's no way I'm going to sleep. You know, I can't have orange juice past 11 o'clock in the morning or coffee past 11 o'clock in the morning. Otherwise, I can't sleep. Apparently, according to past boyfriends, I'm a star-shaped sort of flipping about in the bed kind of person. And so as a result, I like a real book when I go to bed.
Because you can immerse in it. It's got magic. Yes. There's magic in the pages.
Yes, and it's easier for a cat to get in front of as well. They like to be able to push themselves in front of your face and the book. Whereas a laptop, your arms are there and it kind of blocks them and it pisses them off.
That's funny. So if you are print on demand with Amazon, your books are only available through Amazon. you'd have to buy a load of them to then take them anywhere. And a lot of shops, it's like small independent shops, they don't want to be involved really in the hassle of, unless they're buying it from you and you've got a nice relationship with them. They want your books to be available easily. So when you're self-published with a self-publishing company, your books are in the main distribution warehouse. They're all available from all of the wholesalers. It's exactly the same for the shop person to be dealing with you as it is with any of the publications people like Penguin or whatever they are. Publishing houses, that's the word I was looking for. So, and that is really important, because I think as a writer and a reader, I like to support independent bookshops. So that's another plus. And it's just more professional, I think. If you can afford it, that's the only thing. It's not cheap. It costs a bloody fortune.
Can I ask you how much? You don't have to say, but I am interested.
I can't remember the exact figures. I'd have to look through my bank.
Ballpark, that's fine.
So for the yard, that was just to go through them actually getting it to the point of being print ready was about over £2,000. So that includes the proofread, that includes the cover design, that includes formatting.
Is that including Ruth's painting?
No, that cost another fortune.
Okay, I will just say, for the people who don't know what I'm talking about when I say Ruth's painting, it's, oh God almighty, everything's backwards.
So that's a watercolour. It's actually hanging on my wall there, but you can't see it. I'll try and spin it around. Look, there it is.
Oh God, that's the original?
It's the original.
I love her paintings, actually. I don't think I need to explain who she is. I think horsey people know exactly who she is.
She's well worth the money. I think if that is a very important part of your book, sadly, is the cover is so important.
Yes.
There are so many people who are self-publishing and their book covers are shockingly bad. If your book cover is crap, it doesn't matter how good the content is, you're going to lose 70 to 80% of your potential readers just because they won't pick it up, whether you like it or not. Book
there is a reason why there's the cliche.
So then on top of the couple of grand to get it to print ready, you've then got to pay for the books up front. So it depends on the size of your book, how many pages and how many copies. So, that's another £1,500 for me to print 700 copies of the yard. So,
but you kind of sold them straight away. I remember. I think it was hours after your book at the yard came out. It was like, oh my God, panic! I've sold them all. Wrong panic there, Grace. Wrong panic.
I hadn't printed enough. You see, that first print run, I think it was about 500. But I mean, even that is phenomenal, to sell 500 copies of a new book on the day of publication.
Yes.
I made sure I had a lot of the farm printed this time so that didn't happen. But it's an investment. You have to be able to invest if you do it this way. But I mean, you can start with KDP and then build your profile that way, get some money in, and then do it the other way.
Yes. With Amazon and KDP, this is a friend of mine is also an author. I've interviewed her previously too. And she found that the problem was they didn't advertise her book for her. So yes, it was there. It was available for sale, but there was no advertising that was going into it. So she had to then take over that herself.
Yes.
Which I suppose then brings me into the next question. How have you gone about your advertising?
See, that is a big thing I've noticed because, again, I'm in authors groups. It's amazing how many authors whether they're self-published, well, especially self-published authors, or if you're lucky enough to get a publishing deal, unless you're massive or, nobody, not even the publishing company, are going to advertise your books. You have to do it yourself. So I'm amazed each time I hear that your friend was surprised that they weren't advertising. They aren't going to advertise you.
No,
Why
they
should
don't.
they? So I had my very busy Facebook page. The more your book sells, the more likely Amazon will be to send out emails suggesting it to their consumers to buy it. So if
Okay.
you're a new author, so I got loads of that because I'd already done a lot of marketing myself on Facebook. So my books were selling from publication. So because they were
And you were
popular,
advertising beforehand as well, weren't you? Because you were
yeah,
promoting your website with the few chapters, with the 3 or 4
yeah,
chapters, I think. No, it was more than that, wasn't it? It was about 6 or 7 chapters.
yeah. So I'd done a lot of spade work. And so that's why my book sold out the first day of publication. And because of that, Amazon, it's all computers, it's all algorithms. So their computer sees, oh, that's popular, that's selling. We can sell
Yes.
more of that. So then emails go out to loads of people that have bought books that are similar to yours. So anybody that is a new author should not expect anything from Amazon. They're not going to do anything for you until you're doing something for them. They
Of
don't care
course.
about you. They literally don't give a shit. People, unless you are to be a success, if you want to sell books, people need to know you. And
Yeah.
people buy your book not just because of the content, but because they have a connection with you. So I
Yes.
started in lockdown. I was lucky because I had lockdown. I had that time I couldn't work. So I had all this time that I never normally had.
That was a
And
bonkers time.
wasn't it weird? So,
Yeah.
so because there was that time, I set up. Well, I started by I wrote that one little story and I posted it in a horsey Facebook group, just for a laugh because I have nothing else to do. And then it got so popular. By the end of the day, that post had got thousands of likes and comments and
Just
shares.
one day.
One day, and people loved it. It was a
So
very
that's
heartwarming.
the power, isn't it? That's the power of the internet.
Yeah. So then I set up my own Facebook page, and then I posted a weekly episode throughout lockdown, but also not just an episode of the story. That was every Friday. I realized that I didn't expect this at all, but people were interested in me and why I'd got back into horses as an adult. They wanted to know about me and my horse. At the time, I just had the one horse. So I was posting about me and I was posting about her, and that was just growing it. And I was interacting with people. It's very important when people write messages. Here's another thing I've noticed. If you're wanting to sell your books, if people are bothered enough to write a nice comment on your Facebook page or Instagram or whatever you're on, reply to them, because
Yes. It's
some
common
people,
courtesy, isn't it?
isn't it? But it's amazing how I do look at other authors and stuff, and some people, they don't bother to reply, they don't interact.
No, that's
Whereas
just rude.
it's weird because it is odd. I think a lot of people think, oh well, I'm above that, and I'm the writer, I'm the author, I'm not going to
Yeah.
interact with you. Whereas I'm a person, you're a person, I love to have a chat, and that helps. You see, my books are all about my life and how
Yes.
horses
They're
heal.
very real, aren't they? Your
It's
stories and stuff. They're
memoirs.
just so relatable. They're just so sort of they're mad, but they're so relatable.
Oh, man. So yeah, so you have to interact with people. So while you're thinking about your book or your course, you need to set up some sort of social media thing so that you're growing your audience. Or if you've got a really good website and a blog or anything, you've got to find out who your demographics are, and
Yes.
always be open-minded to realize that what you think your demographics are might actually surprise you, because you can discover there's all sorts of different demographics who'll be interested in your product, whether it's a course or a book.
Yes. Yeah, that's really insightful. Thank you so much.
Very welcome.
So, what question shall I ask you next? So, you've actually changed your career, I suppose, through doing this. So, you are now a writer as opposed to what we see you in your book as being the massage therapist and the physiotherapist.
I do bits because I love my work, and my aim really for my writing is eventually for it to become so popular that it's selling so well that I can use that as an income so I can treat terminally ill people for free. That's my sole purpose.
Should we talk about that then?
Yes.
With you treating your terminally ill patients?
Yes.
Because I remember when I interviewed you for The Yard, you were just setting up and you just found a really nice field. Now, oh God. Okay. So do you know the field that you were in The Yard? Is that the field that you were talking about? Or is that a totally different field?
In the farm, that's when we get the field that I'm at now. So yes. I'm still at that field. In The Yard, I'm at a livery yard.
I know you are. And then you were saying that you were going to get the field where you were going. You'd right. Okay, then in a personal conversation, you'd said that you had this beautiful field where you wanted to be working with your terminally ill patients. Is that the field that you are referring to in The Farm?
Yes.
Right. Yes. I was wondering when I was reading The Farm, I was thinking, is this the field? Is this the field? Yes. Because with the male owner being such a nutter, I was thinking, oh, that's not very calming, is it? If you've got, but at the end of the book, oh, spoiler alert, at the end of the book, he chilled right out, didn't he?
Yes, thank God. Although he's still unpredictable, he can't help it. It's in his nature. Yeah, my
what a bonkers man.
He is. And I had to tone him down because I didn't want to offend him. So he's actually more bonkers than that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yes, I suppose that actually brings me to a question. When you're writing a book that involves real people, oh, yes, actually, from a personal point of view, I kind of want to know this. If you're writing a book that involves real people and you don't want to go to the trouble of creating a composite character, how do you actually go about that? Because you want to retain the reality of the real person, but you don't want them to know that it's them.
It's difficult. Well, I was lucky with this character because he actually asked me to put him in the book. He said,
well, that makes it a bit easier, I suppose.
I want a big part in it. So he's in
I want
it.
a big part, but I don't want to be offended.
I doesn't mind. He said, write me as bastardy as you can. But I did tone him down anyway. I had to tone him down because I just thought, well, nobody would actually believe it, what he's really like. But there are other characters who I've changed. So, for example, well, I won't give an example, but as an example, I've kept every character is a real person and their personality is exactly as they were, sometimes slightly toned down.
Like the woman who used to opera sing and go shopping on her horse in The Yard.
Yeah. I mean,
I loved her.
She ended up getting so drunk and falling asleep with a cigarette in her mouth in a stable, so she got kicked out because she could have set fire to the whole place. But so all I've done is change their physical characteristics. I might have changed an accent or the height or the hair color. Everybody's names are different apart from mine, but because the characters are perfect, I didn't want to change, or I might have changed this, the skin color or whatever. But everybody's pretty much as they are.
Yes. I'm talking crap. I'm aware I'm talking crap. It's the menopause. Honestly, my brain. I used to be a really highly intelligent person, and I'm a flump.
But it's a good experience, isn't it? I think, to experience how you can go a bit, well, different with hormones.
Yes. Oh no, I'm embracing it. I'm fully and utterly embracing it, which is why I'm not getting annoyed by it.
Yeah, there's no point. It's just a transition.
Oh God, because that reminds me. Oh my God, I've forgotten her name now. In the farm with the menopausal lady that you were helping out, and then she was so pleased that you'd kind of called her out on it. What was the character's name again?
In the book, she's called Sapna.
Sapna, that was
That's
it.
not her real name.
No, I that's why I said the character name.
But yeah, it was awful at first. I was terrified, absolutely terrified, and I don't know why, but I think because it was triggering my childhood experiences of being bullied. But she
Yes.
literally emanated darkness and anger, and then it was only when I changed myself that I was able to just say to her, "What the hell is going on with you?"
Yes.
And
I loved that aspect of the book, really did, because I was bullied all through school because I'm autistic, and I try my best to mask the fact that I'm autistic, but I think it comes across. But as a result, I've been bullied, not just in school, all through my adult life as well, which is why your book really seriously resonated with me.
Brill. I hope it helps. It literally is about valuing yourself and loving yourself enough to just
Yes.
boundary that shitty behavior and to know, actually, that's not acceptable. I'm not allowing that into me. And these are my rules. And if you don't like it,
Yes.
go away.
Actually, you did help. You helped a lot. And there was a particular situation that occurred at the same time that I was reading the book. And I used the advice that you gave in your book on that particular situation. And the situation was resolved within one day.
Amazing. That's the
So,
transformation process of changing our thoughts.
yes. And because our thoughts govern our feelings,
Yes.
and our feelings govern our actions. So if you can govern your feelings or your thoughts, you can change your actions. And
Yeah.
I took this on board, and
Oh,
okay, so I've and I'm going to use air quotes here, which is such a naff thing to do, but I lost a friend, but she wasn't a friend. If she was a friend, she wouldn't have been acting in that particular manner.
exactly. Or if
So
she was, she would then apologise and say, "Oh my God, I can't
yes,
believe I'm such a bitch. It's because of blah, blah, blah."
yes, exactly, because I gave her the option to do that. I didn't go, no. I give her the option for there to be a dialogue. And she's
Right.
like, no, throw my toys under the pram. Bye-bye. Well, yeah, that's your
Thank
choice.
God you got rid of somebody that's toxic and septic.
Yes. So for that, I thank you.
Well, that's brilliant. I'm so glad to hear it. Because when I was writing the book, it was quite a big deal for me to talk about my personal experiences. But what I really hoped was it would help other people to not go into the depths of shite that I did. So if I can help people, that's bloody perfect.
You did.
Hooray!
Definitely. Hurrah! So what would your advice be for Mare-o-pausal.com becoming what it could become?
I would do some targeted Facebook adverts with a Facebook expert who knows how to use the hideously difficult to navigate Meta business platform.
And because your books, like sort of, for the first one, it was very much sort of helping people with the lack of self-esteem, and the second one was very much helping with the bullying. Do you feel that you're going to be doing a whole series, and each one has a focus where it can help people?
Yes, there are two more. They're in the ether.
Thank you so much.
Well, thank
I
you.
really enjoyed it. I know it was a bit sort of unprofessional, but I'm actually wanting it not to be unprofessional, but I don't want it to be unprofessional, but I want it to be natural.
Yes, and that's much more fun, really, because the really stiff professional experiences that I've had have been so uncomfortable and just horrid. This is more fun.
I listen to them and I'm thinking, it's almost like they're going, right, okay, you've finished talking, or I insist that you finish talking so I can ask my next question. I don't want to do that. I want it to be like two friends having a natter.
Yes, that's what is appealing. That's why you've got to focus on mare-o-pausal. Absolutely, because
Thank you.
I had coaching before I started writing in lockdown, because I learned equine facilitated coaching. And part of the learning process was to be coached. And just in my coaching session, my deepest desire to become a writer came out, and how, oh, I'm not good enough. And thanks to that coaching session, here I am, a writer. Cool. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thank you so much. You too. Thank you so much, Grace. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.